I'm pretty loud, so
Alright.
is that all right?
You know, to back it up.
So, Mr. Wright and board, thank you so much for allowing us an opportunity to present with you some increase in services that we would like to discuss with you in your community in Ticonderoga. My name is Terry Morris. I'm the Director of Community Services and the Mental Health Department in Essex County. I oversee the services that are offered for Office of Persons with Developmental Disabilities, so Mountain Lake Services. Also OASAS services, which is substance use, so that's St. Joseph's and the prevention team. And then mental health services, which is the county clinic, an organization called Families First, and the Mental Health Association. So I'd like to introduce Valerie Ainsworth, who is the Executive Director, and Doug Meyer, who is the Director of Services. I'm going to do a short presentation, and then I'm going to turn it over to Valerie and Doug. The purpose of our meeting with you today is that the Office of Mental Health of New York State is requiring us to obtain a letter of support from Ticonderoga's town board to increase our crisis residence services from 1 bed to 3 beds. And that is, as Mr. Wright mentioned, it's on Amherst Avenue, 21, right? 21?
20 Amherst.
20, thank you. And we are also wanting to share with you a little bit of data to support the need for this service. There are 2 pieces of data I'd like to share. One is there's something called a pickup order. And a pickup order is when the Director of Community Services, which is me, receives information from the community, from other providers, that there's an individual in the community that would be better served at a higher level of care, like a hospital with psychiatric services. So that's called a pickup order. In 2021, 9 out of 19 pickup orders were issued for residents of Ticonderoga. So that's 47%. In 2022, 4 out of 16 were presented, so that's 25%. Also, we have a program called LEMER, stands for Law Enforcement Mental Health Referral System, and that has been in place since 2018. What that is that if law enforcement, whether it's state police or town or sheriff's department, encounters somebody with a mental health, that seems to have a mental health or substance use issue that would benefit from further services, ongoing services, they make a referral to us and we do some back-end engagement. Of these 626 referrals since 2018, 104 of them have been for residents of Ticonderoga. So that's an average of 1 of 6 referrals. Valerie and Doug are going to be presenting, and then we're going to open it up for questions if you have any. So I'm going to turn it over to Valerie. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
I'm Valerie Ainsworth. I'm just going to talk real quick and then turn it over to Doug because he's been the champion of the crisis residents. I'm the Executive Director of the Mental Health Association. We're located, we have an office in Westport, and then we have our satellite office in the Ticonderoga building. I've been the Executive Director for the last 15 years, and we work very closely with Terry and the Essex County Mental Health Clinic. So I'm going to turn this over to Doug so he can give you a little bit of background. We know that you have a big meeting agenda here, so we're going to be as quick as we can.
Hi, I'm Doug Meyer. Thank you for having us. I live in Jay, New York. I've been with the Mental Health Association since 2008. Before that, I've lived in the Adirondacks since the summer of 2000. Before that, I was a probation officer in New Jersey. The Mental Health Association is a community-based organization. We're not part of the county. We don't work under Terry Morris and the Essex County Mental Health Clinic, but we work very closely with them. We're partners with them. Last year, we served about 350 Essex County residents. We do the case management, supported housing, employment, education services, the wraparound services that go with the therapy and medication that happens at Terry's place in E-Town. We've owned the property in Ticonderoga since 2009, I believe. We've been a good neighbor there. I don't think there's ever been any problems with the one bed that we do have there. We'd like to have 3 beds because it's cost effective. 1 bed, really, we're losing money, frankly, with 1 bed. With 3 beds, we serve only adults. Stays are limited to 28 days, and this facility is staffed 24/7. I'm a retired probation officer. We are going to run a very tight ship there. People are carefully screened. This is not a substance abuse treatment facility. This is a facility for mentally ill people. Though we wouldn't turn away somebody that also has a substance abuse problem. I've worked closely with the chief of police with the Langers program, and I think we have a pretty good relationship. But we wanted to come. We could have, kept doing the 1 bed thing. But we haven't been doing it lately because it's not cost effective, but we wanted to come here and present this to you guys and basically get your blessing to offer these extended services to the people in Essex County, and I'm sure there'll be quite a few Thai residents that'll land there. Are there any questions about what it services or any questions at all?
What ages do you, what ages?
You have to be 18 adults, 18 and up. Typically, we do serve some people 18 to 21. Most of our clients are over 21. But if you're 18, you would be eligible to come there.
You said it's 24/7. Is there shift work there among different individuals from MHA or what?
Yeah, it would be staffed 24/7. The afternoon shift runs from 3 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. and then there's a day shift that comes on. So it's there's someone there at all times. And during the day, there's more than one.
If they have to have medication, who administers that?
The medication, they have to be able to self-administer their medication. So we keep their medication locked up. When it's time for them to take their medication, we bring them to where the medication is. We unlock it. They have to take their medication out, read the label, and take it according to label directions. We never actually touch their medication, but we make sure they're taking it as directed, and we make sure they have the medication that they need.
I have to say, I live 4 houses down, and I didn't even know this existed. I'm a little surprised, and this is my 2nd term, so I'm wondering how this communication gap happened.
I think it probably happened because we've never had any problems that would have come to the attention of somebody at your level.
Yeah.
We certainly want to be good neighbors, and we want this to be the best crisis residence in the state. And the other programs that I've started at MHA, the Health Home Case Management Program and the Home and Community-Based Services, have turned out to be the best in the state. I'm bragging a little, but we're going to make this a quality facility.
Are these violent people who are living there?
Typically, people that suffer from mental illness are not violent. They're much more likely to be a victim of a crime than commit a crime. But in terms of screening, no. I'll be screening the people personally, and we would not let someone be at the crisis residence that would be a danger to other people.
Because it is a school street, too.
It's
It's got
staff.
school on both ends of
Yeah.
the street.
How many beds do you say you're gonna have?
3.
How much staff do you have for each throne?
Overnight, 1 person has to be on duty, and during the day, there has to be somebody on duty at all times. During the day, there'll be 2 or 3 people there. But working on goals and so forth, and bringing them to appointments and so forth. But overnight, yeah, there's one staff member.
When you're talking about beds, is that rooms? Is this building, because I don't know the internal layout of this building, but is each bed separate, or is it like?
Separate bedrooms, yeah.
Separate rooms?
Yes.
Entirely. And it's already set up that way, or is there gonna have to be some renovations done to the building to?
It's already set up that way. There's some minor renovations that have to happen, but nothing major.
So basically, at least a 3-bedroom home at one time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it used to be an ARC residence.
And before
years
that, it was a
ago.
nursing home way, way back.
Okay, okay,
And there's one that's handicap accessible also.
I
okay.
have a random question. Is it co-op, male and female both?
Yes,
What is their capability to leave and enter the premises on the owner?
they are not locked in, they can go and come as they please. The facility rules say that they should not be going out after 11. If somebody was doing that, we'd have to talk to them and find out what they're up to. When people come back from being out in the community, we take a very close look at them and make sure that everything's okay. And we want people to make progress there and not just stagnate.
And who's staffing this? Is it, are they obviously some kind of trained staff? Do they have some kind of credentials, or is it?
Yeah, it's going to be staffed by what they call certified peer specialist, which is a certification that the state of New York and the OMH gives. There's 16 courses that you have to take it. It's about a 6-month process to get peer certified. We have some really great staff that are going to be able to do some wonderful things with some of the people. I don't know if you guys are aware, but right now, people sit in the emergency room for 12, 24, 36 hours. And often, when they've been seen at the hospital, at the ER, they're just discharged. And a lot of those people aren't really ready to go home, but they're not ill enough to be hospitalized. Crisis residents would fill that gap nicely, where somebody doesn't need to be in a hospital, but maybe the home is too stressful, or they need something to be put in place before they can get back to their life. So that's what we do.
You said you wouldn't turn someone away with substance abuse problems. Please elaborate on that.
So if someone has a mental health condition and they also have a drinking problem or something like that, we try to help them with their mental health condition, and we link them with substance abuse services, but that can be their primary issue. We're there to serve people with mental illness, but people are. We have to treat the total person, and so we.
But just to clarify, this is not a detox unit.
Yeah, it's not a detox.
So if it's somebody that's in serious withdrawal and needs a detox, that's not equipped to do anything like that. And that it's a sober facility, so that if anybody's actively using, they won't be admitted to the program. Or if they find out that they are, then that'll be a reason for discharge.
Do they have vehicles, or do they walk every place they go?
They walk every place. I assume
There's a lot
potentially
of
someone
walkers on
could
the
have a
street.
vehicle, but they don't want to walk. A pretty far walk to Walmart. They don't want to rip down the facility or something.
You said over 21, I just didn't know if they had their own vehicles.
Some may. Most of the population that we work with are a lot of poverty. Not too many people can afford insurance and gas and so forth. So it's hard to keep a vehicle on the road when you're living on SSI.
How much conversation have you had with the police chief about this?
I emailed the police chief recently to let him know that we were going to be here tonight, but I speak with him frequently, and I meet with him every other month. I'm going to be meeting with him next week, next Thursday, 1 o'clock. I think he and I have a pretty good relationship. He knows what we're about.
And Chief
how we
Holbert
operate.
sits in on our lemurs bi-monthly meetings regularly, so we have consistent contact with him.
All right. You might want to get his feedback.
But it's my understanding from what you said about them using it for the CAC.
Yeah, they occasionally use our building to interview children that have been victims.
Who did this to?
I'm sorry?
Who interviewed?
The Ticonderoga police.
I think I'm in the neighborhood watch.
We're learning a lot.
No.
Not watching.
Yeah, I guess not.
Anybody else have any questions?
The real reason we're here, and like we said, is to get your blessing, but as Terry said, the state requires us
Yeah.
to let you guys know, so that people aren't opening facilities in your towns without your knowledge. But we're really anxious to be a good neighbor and to stay in your good graces and provide good services to you guys.
So when you say get our blessing, does that mean, are you looking for a resolution? What needs to be done to,
I think a letter just saying that we made you aware of our plans to move from a one-bed to a three-bed versus residence is all we really need. If you want to make it a resolution, I don't know.
So just to be clear, you'd be looking not necessarily for a letter of support, but a letter that states that you informed the town of
Yes,
this
that's
action.
what they call the Pataman law requires.
Questions? Thank you very
I'll
much.
be
You're
happy to
welcome.
speak up. If I see a problem,
I
I
got a
will
business
speak up.
card for you guys. Thank you. You're welcome to call me anytime.
She will.
I'm a nosy neighbor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you have those brochures you wanted to see some for?
Yeah, if you have anything else to leave with us, we'll certainly take it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting us go first.
You're welcome. We're not that cruel.
We could be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk to
Good
you later.
evening. Safe travels.
All right, we have 3 public hearings set for tonight. The first one is regarding written notification of defects. I kind of mentioned this last month. So the town is looking to adopt a new revised notice of defects law. This will replace the current law. Basically, this broadens the scope of what the current protection is based on some various court interpretations regarding municipal liability. So this action would actually update the town's prior written notice protections. At this time, I'll certainly open the floor to anyone that has a comment or a question on this particular topic. I see the hands are flying madly. Okay, if there's no questions, I will close this public hearing and open the one which is very similar to this, and that is to repeal the current Law 3 of 2022 on written notification of defects. Open the floor to public hearing now, if anyone has any comments. All right, if not, I'll close that, and we will move on to repealing that law later on this evening. Last public hearing tonight is on the Restore New York application for the Hacker Building at 108 Montcalm Street. So the town of Ticonderoga has proposed submitting an application to the New York State for the Restore New York program on behalf of Thai Alliance to rehabilitate the Hacker Building, or at least keep it from falling down. This doesn't involve any town funding, but a municipality has to be the official applicant for this type of action. Donna Watton is here tonight from TRA. If there's any questions, I'm sure she can answer them as to the details of what this project is about. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Donna, if you want to say anything about the program, you're more than welcome.
Just that it's an application to the state of New York for a specific type of grant that will provide us with a fair amount of money to be able to renovate that building. The plan is to do deconstruction of the contents of the building currently, which are pretty much nothing usable within the building. So we'll be gutting the rest that needs to be gutted, doing some asbestos and mold remediation, putting a new roof on it, and putting the shell back together with all new utilities and ready for occupancy.
There was a number of requirements that had to be met from your standpoint in terms of some of them were town actions. This is the last action the town is taking, which is the public hearing, to satisfy the list that you had for town actions. So, are there any comments from the public? Okay. Very good. We'll close this public hearing then, and Donna, what we'll do is when we get the minutes, we'll give you the information you need to demonstrate that we had a public hearing. So,
Thank you so much.
all right, very good. We'll get into committee reports. First up is the Airport Committee, which met on January 3rd. Minutes are attached. I guess the minutes are attached. There's just a few things that are going on at the Airport Committee. We have had some efforts to clear an old obstacle from the FAA's obstacle database, which was interfering with the town's ability to have GPS nighttime landing approaches. This tree has been in, it's a tree, has been in the FAA's database since 2015, and all attempts until now have been unsuccessful to get rid of it. I did successfully manage the FAA's runway airspace management tool, and we have been informed that the project is successfully closed. So even though the tree's been gone for many, many years, it's now officially gone as far as the U.S. government's concerned. So, other actions that are going on at the Beacon Tower, we're still waiting for some FAA information on review for the Beacon Tower that's been proposed to erect at the entrance to the airport. That has to be cleared. Beginning with the meeting next month on February 7th, Tom Thatcher will be the chair of the Airport Committee. I will be the vice chair. This time I have 3 resolutions from the committee. All these involve getting federal financial assistance. The first one is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the town's disadvantaged business enterprise program in accordance with regulations of the U.S. Department of Transportation's 49 CFR Part 26. This is required to obtain federal financial assistance. I need a motion on that.
I'll move it.
Second.
Alrighty. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. No opposed, that is carried. Next is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the FY23 airport grant pre-application for runway 220 rehabilitation and Form SF 424 application for federal assistance.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. All right, and the last one here is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the FAA Airport Improvement Program sponsor certification for runway 220 rehabilitation.
I'll move it. Second.
Discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. And with that, we will move on to buildings, grounds, parks, recs, library, and everything else that goes on.
I have nothing.
Nothing to say? Well, I always do.
Everything's fixed.
Well, not everything, I'm still waiting for this.
Yeah, yes. Look around here. This room looks so much better thanks to Dave and the town's electrical company that's been working on getting all the wires off the floor. It looks much better now.
And
It's much, and much safer.
And he's.
And heat, yeah. Okay, the majority of our meeting on December 20th was spent on the skating rink, which happens to be very flush with funds right now. They've had grants totaling $14,000 given to them. And Nicole Green, who's sitting back here, wrote a grant and has been able to purchase 49 pairs of skates, which will be available for loan. I think you've got your system all worked out, and I think you've also already stenciled them so we know that they're not to take home, they're to use when they're there. And I think you also were going to work with the contractor to inspect our warming hut to see what needs to be done. We'll be talking about that at our next meeting, which is next Tuesday. The hours of operation and the rink use by various groups has been discussed. There has been some concern regarding conflicts that may arise between hockey players and families doing recreational skating. It was decided to look at the current rink use for January, and unfortunately, I don't think we have any ice at this point, to see what kind of regulations we might need. And if the hockey teams want to use the rink, they really should be completing use of facilities forms, so that will give the committee some control and some knowledge of what's going on down there at the rink. Especially because of the large amount of money that's currently received through grants, it's also important that the grant time limits and the proper town procedures have been followed. And I know Nicole is working with Ash Alexander, who is our rink attendant, to make sure that we're doing the right things. Tom Thatcher was attending the meeting, and he brought up something that I wouldn't have thought of. He talked about rink maintenance in terms of after they're done skating on the rink, what are you going to do to make it skatable for the next day? And he suggested that we consider purchasing a walk-behind ice cleaner. Do I have that right?
Yes.
And that would be an appropriate expenditure of some of that grant money that we have. And the committee also realized that if we actually have the planned snowshoe and cross-country ski trails in the rec fields, and we also have a skating rink, that maybe we need to think about where are we going to put the equipment that is used to maintain those things. And so that needs to be a topic of further meetings.
So no Zamboni.
Do you know of any that are available for maybe $300?
It's a tight check.
Yeah, I can just see it now. There have been some complaints. There's been some damage by vehicles at the beach. It's continuing. We have some cameras that can take care of that, but I think we need to work on making sure that they're working efficiently. And we also have some problems with lighting at the Kissing Bridge. I think it's a pretty dark area there, and although there's lighting there, I think I need to make a trip down there at nighttime and see whether or not we need to relocate some lights or maybe put some more in. We put up some no dog signs because dogs are not allowed in Bicentennial Park. If you don't know that, you do now. And the sign that was put up at the south side of the Kissing Bridge it's not clear where the dogs aren't allowed, so we need to work on that and make sure it's clear to the public. Another thing that Tanya has really been trying to make us think about is the fact that we have a lovely Christmas tree out here in our yard, which has lots and lots of beautiful lights. However, the tree is dying from the top down. So we're going to need to have a new town Christmas tree someplace else. And it's been proposed that we put a new tree, purchase a fairly good-sized tree and put in Bicentennial Park. However, concerns have been raised because of all the restrictions that were put on us by International Paper Company about how deep we can dig. And the thought was if we get a mature spruce tree, it's going to have a very large root ball, and I think we have a problem there. So we're going to have, the group is going to have some more conversation. And there is a tree in the park that might work. It's certainly not as nice as the tree that's out front, but we're going to continue to work on that so we always have a nice Christmas display. And the good news for me is that there's plans to continue the Upper Lachute Trail, and that's the trail that goes off of Lake George Avenue up towards the Trestle Bridge. And thanks to Pride and the town and Essex County, the plans have been made to continue the path all the way up to the Trestle Bridge. And I understand that the contract is now in the hands of the state of New York. I hope it goes quickly. Our
Well,
next,
it's been there for several months. So.
it's been there several months, well.
That is quickly for them.
Okay. Fingers crossed that it doesn't take 2 more years. And our next meeting, as I said, will be next Tuesday at 8:30 right here. You're welcome to attend.
Okay.
And I have one resolution I see here.
Yeah, yeah.
And we regret, I made the motion that we accept the the resignation of John Woodward effective September 15, 2022. He has some surgery and is unable to do the job at this point.
I'll move it.
No choice, Brian, she said.
Yeah, need a second.
Second.
Your second.
All right, any discussion?
Already had you down.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, so carried. All right, moving on to economic development. Committee met on December 21st. Minutes are attached. We're pleased to have added Beth Hill from Fort Thai Association to the committee. No, we have no word on DRI yet, so you two can stop.
What did the
emailing me.
announcement tonight?
I don't make the rules, I just wait for the phone call. So we'll see. We thought it was gonna be before Christmas, then we thought it was gonna be before New Year's. Now, I don't know. Next meeting is January 18th. I have one resolution, and Donnie will be interested for this one. This is a resolution authorizing the Town of Ticonderoga's application to restore New York for the 108 Montcalm Street project on behalf of the Ticonderoga Revitalization Alliance, and I will move that.
I'll second it.
All right, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Moving on to highway.
No, we had no meetings, so I don't have any.
That's true, we didn't have
Oh,
it. Okay, municipal facility?
We did not meet in December. Our next meeting is going to be January 23rd at 6:30 down here. So anybody's want to come, willing to come, but nothing to report on since December.
Okay, great. Public safety.
Okay, we had no meeting, but I do have a resolution authorizing a purchase of a Optiplex 3000 SFF workstation at a cost of $1,072.14 to replace the current fingerprinting workstation, which is outdated and no longer supports Windows 7. I'll move it.
Okay.
Is that a fingerprinting machine, just to be clear? I
Yeah,
don't know what an Optiplex 3000 is.
Yeah, I mean, I should have skipped all that.
I write that stuff just to throw you guys off.
It's a test.
Okay, so it's a new fingerprinting machine.
Yeah, it goes with it, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. All
You
right.
did second that, right, Tom?
Yes.
I did. Yeah, put me down anyway.
I heard.
Okay.
Public Works. Meeting was on December 20th, the minutes are attached. Some interesting news from Congresswoman Stefanik's office, who notified the town of Ticonderoga that our funding request for $4 million for the water source and distribution project in the Chilton Eagle Lake area was passed in a recent federal omnibus bill. Still waiting for details on what that means in terms of how the money's going to be dispensed. There's probably a match there at some level. So the Stefanik's office is working to get us those details, and that's coming in the future. As far as our information packages that we've been sending out to some parcel owners in that area, a majority of those went out a couple of weeks ago. They're tailored for the individual parcels. They give them information on how to get a well, whether their property is capable of supporting a well, etc. There's a few more, 2 or 3 that need to go out that are a little more specialized, and those should be going out soon. The committee's next meeting is January 31st. And Tom, I don't know if you want to say anything about the task force now, or wait till you guys are all done, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have anything to report at this
Wait
point.
till it's done.
We're ongoing.
Okay. I have 3 resolutions from the committee. First is a resolution approving Tanner Wright, Brian Benito, and Eric Blanchard to attend basic math and hydraulics training, Lake George.
Basic math.
Yeah, on April 6, 2023. Cost is $20 per attendees plus a meal reimbursement.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that's carried. Next one is a resolution approving Tanner Wright, Brian Benito, and Eric Blanchard to attend treatment plant distribution worker protection training in Peru. That's New York, not South America. I'll make that clear. On May 3rd, 2023, cost is $85 per attendee plus meal reimbursement.
So moved.
You both did it at the same time. Who wants to move?
I'll second it.
All right, okay. Good for that one. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. And last here is a resolution authorizing the submittal of the New York State Revolving Fund Environmental Review Equivalency Checklist and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or the bill, RFQ tentative schedule for a Clean Water State Revolving Fund project number C5-5520-11-00, which is the wastewater treatment plant HVAC and phosphorus upgrades and collecting system improvement project. These are required by the state revolving fund recipients for submittal of the bill acceptance letter. And no, Dave, I'm not going to read it a second time.
I'll move that.
Thank you. Do I second it?
Second.
All right, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Carried. Youth? Do you have anything for youth?
Oh, yes, I do. We met this week, and Sean's doing a bang-up job with the after-school program. He has 75 children signed up for it. They don't all attend, which is probably very fortunate. The day we were there, he had over 40 children there, so the attendance he's doing well. He's running a basketball program, and he had 56 children signed up for them. And there's been big debate if, when they get to be a little older, should they be co-ed teams or boy teams and girls team. They ran into a problem. They played Mariah, and Mariah only had a girls team and a boys team, so they had to play a co-ed team for tie. It worked out okay. They've got 32, I thought he said 33 going to this Gore Ski program. The numbers are a little down. Last year I think there were 50, but that's still a good number. And the ski dates, they started on January 7th and it goes through March 4th. The basketball dates, basketball program started on January 7th and it's going through the 18th of February. And he's working hard to have a good program. We did talk about the summer program and hoping that we'll be able to find enough kids to apply for the program as workers so we can have a program this year. And also did talk about the lifeguards. Our fear is that there's maybe some wealthier communities that are offering their lifeguards more money than we are, and they may be trying to poach our lifeguards. We hope that doesn't happen. So I hope we get the process going pretty soon to hire.
Didn't we agree to pay for the...
Yes, we did. But if they're giving them more hourly, then it's, and we're hearing that one town really gives them a lot more money than we are. So we'll see what happens. We had 5 good lifeguards last year. I hope it continues. And that's it.
Okay, Tom, did you have anything from seniors?
Nothing from the seniors, nothing to report, and their meetings, I think we're doing sometime in the spring. I don't have an exact date right now, but they're not meeting during the winter.
Okay.
They're playing pickleball though.
They're playing pickleball.
I still have to watch that. I have no idea how that's played. So.
It's big in Glens Falls.
And nothing for health insurance. As far as contract negotiations are going, as I previously stated, all the negotiations are complete. All the parties have signed all the MOAs for the changes. The final contracts are being drafted now. I just saw the police one today, so those will get signed off. When we're done, we'll be done. Cable, do we have anything?
Two things.
Bear with me. If I start in the back, it's going to be in the front. If I start in the front, it's gonna be in
Right here.
the front. Here it is. Let's see. Despite their best efforts, rising costs, including programming fees charged by TV networks, have impacted our pricing, so they have a notice of customer promotional rates until the end of the promotional period here. They've got rate increases, this is in your package, of a number of different providers there, which is going up per month, anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on what the provider is. Also, this letter of sort of notice that on or around January 8th, Spectrum Northeast LLC will launch Chime TV on high definition to expanded basic and SPP select, channel 144, 482 on the channel lineup. Also, Spectrum Northeast has been informed that on or around January 15th, 2023, Epix Networks will rebrand to MGM Plus on their channel lineup serving your community. Always exciting news. Okay, we'll get into resolutions. First one I have here is a resolution to appoint Eric Blanchard to Assistant Water Wastewater Superintendent with a pay increase of $2 per hour effective January 1, 2023.
I'll move that.
Okay, there's a second.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution authorizing the creation of a purchase order to Our Electric for wire installation of the stove in the ACAP kitchen and range receptacle.
I'll move it.
Okay,
Second.
discussion? All in favor? None opposed, carried. And a resolution to appoint Brian Benito and Tanner Wright as water treatment plant operators and follow pay schedule associated with that title effective January 1, 2023. This came out of our negotiations.
I'll move that.
Okay,
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Financial resolutions, first batch here, a resolution authorizing the following budget transfers. First is to fund under budgeted general accounts from contingency. The balance after this is $74,909. We have $95 going from contingency to joint planning board, education and training. Next two are transfer funds for a budget correction. This is a distribution of personnel to a second position. He used to work for both water and wastewater, now he's working just for one. That's an amount of $10,808, and I need a motion for this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Next batch, a resolution authorizing the following budget adjustments. First is the fund, the account from general balance to cover wire installation for the ACAP stove. That's the amount of $3,238. Next, this is to fund the account by general fund balance for budget correction for police constable sergeant 1 position, the amount of $693. The next grouping are for police officer adjustments. This is for funding the accounts for general fund balance for budget correction due to the final labor negotiation relation salary increases. We have police officer 1, an increase of $615. Police officer 2, $602. Police officer 3, $590. Police officer 4, $590. Officer 5, $603. Part-time officers, $664. Police overtime is $870. Holiday pay is $395. New York State retirement is $1,524. And Social Security Medicare is $471. Next grouping here, we have a purchasing land increase, $629.16. We have refuse and garbage uniform allowance, which went increased by $450. Workers' compensation, $172.10, and these are being funded in the general fund balance to cover those increased costs. Again, these are all associated with the labor negotiations. Highway uniform allowance at $1,050, and highway workers' compensation, $134.26. This is funding the highway fund balance to cover the increased costs. The next section is from funding the account by the sewer fund balance for the budget correction, and that is sewer wastewater clerk, $8,063 for the adjustment. Section is the funding accounts by the sewer fund balance to cover the increased cost, uniform allowance of $4,000, and workers' compensation of $61.18. Next is funding accounts by the water fund balance for budget corrections in the amount of $1,315 for position number 2, and then funding accounts by the sewer fund balance to cover increased costs for longevity bonus in the amount of $750, and for workers' compensation in the amount of $57.94. And for all of that, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion on any of that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution authorizing the following interfund transfers to transfer funds from the general to the Eagle Lake Water Project. in the amount of $58,883.15. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, carried. And finally, a resolution authorizing the following interfund loans. This is transfer funds from highway to the Veterans Road Culvert Bridge project until funding is received. That is in the amount of $25,698.77.
I'll move it.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And opposed, that is carried. Okay. Resolution to authorize a public hearing for February 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. regarding a proposed local law repealing Local Law 3 of 2007 titled "A Local Law Providing for the Administration and Enforcement of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code." We approved we repealed the amendment, but we've never repealed the actual law. So for that, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Don't all jump in at once.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, carried. A resolution to waive the 30-day notice requirement and expedite the application for a state liquor license for Knights Banquet Hall and Catering Incorporated.
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, carried. Resolution adopting the local law providing for prior written notification of defects and obstructions on town highways, bridges, streets, sidewalks, crosswalks, and culverts in the town of Ticonderoga.
I'll move it.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Resolution adopting the local law repealing Local Law 3 of 2022 titled "Local Law Providing for Prior Written Notification of Defects and Obstructions on Town Highways, Bridges, Streets, Sidewalks, Crosswalks, and Culverts in the town of Ticonderoga."
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, carried. Resolution authorizing the payment in lieu of taxes or pilot for a 5-megawatt project by Titan Solar, the 85-acre parcel along New York State Route 9, owned by Dan and Leon Catlin.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, carried. Resolution to accept the minutes of December 8th, 2022 regular town board meeting, December 29th, 2022 end of year meeting, and January 5, 2023 organizational meeting.
I'll move that.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, carried. Resolution to pay the abstract.
I'll move it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Who seconded?
I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Did you
carried.
skip over one?
Did I?
The agreement for Whitmore?
Good morning.
More down.
Yeah, you're looking at your old agenda.
Oh, yeah. Somebody read it for me.
Authorizing agreement with Whitmore down in Ricky Argali
Yes.
for the New York State Annual Update Document, the AUD Accounting Services, Town of Ticonderoga for the 2023 at the rate of $110 an hour and $250 an hour for partner review.
Yeah, so a little information on that. That is the people who do our AUDs. We've agreed to do it again for this year. So with that, if someone would move that, please.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second. Somebody.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution to accept the supervisor's report as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. I do have,
I'm sorry, I totally missed that.
I'm sorry.
Who first and seconded? For the supervisor's report.
I'm second. Who was first?
I didn't count
I
it.
just-
You are now.
Tom. Sorry about that, I was looking back at something.
Top of the second.
Yep.
I do have a kind of resolution that we can discuss if we need to. This was a resolution to seek requests for proposals for the sale and development of Town of Ticonderoga owned property located at 130 The Portage, Ticonderoga, New York, identified as tax map parcel 150.51-6-12.200, and described in deed recorded in the Essex County Clerk Office in Book 2027 of Deeds, page 112, noted as the property.
I'll move that.
Okay.
Second.
Is there discussion on this? And that is, that's the property that was being used by Real Construction as a staging area.
On order to put out RFPs,
Yeah.
they're gonna surplus and sell.
Just an RFP.
Yeah.
And we'll get with you, Tony, with the details. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, carried. Okay, we'll do that. Just a few discussion points. We're going to need 2 volunteers from the board to perform the 2022 town court audit.
Tom, nice to meet you.
Great.
Good for you, thank you.
Okay, Lynn?
I will let you know, I have the paperwork that you'll bring up, and I'll let you know whenever it has a day, a couple days that you could pick to go up
When
there.
do they schedule? Within a month or a week or?
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Oh,
Also, the ACAP nutrition site at the Armory, their rent was cut during COVID in half to $177.50. There will be a new contract coming. Discussion on whether that should go back up to full rent again.
Well, the contract actually says it's.
It does say $355. Yeah, it was a verbal,
Yes,
verbal thing.
amendment.
I mean, if this board agrees, I will inform them that when we get the new contract, that the new amount is back to $355 in accordance with the written contract.
I agree.
Comprehensive plan, very soon now we should start thinking about how we want to go forward with executing a consultant or whatever to look into that for us, maybe put out a request. Certainly the Economic Development Committee can, spearhead that if we like. We already have enough people on the committee in terms of town organizations, town of Ticonderoga, and others that can probably work with whatever consultant or specialist we get for that to update our comprehensive plan. Everyone's okay with that? I'll get more details later. Also, a discussion at some point we have to have is regarding the fire ambulance volunteer tax exemption that has been brought up both with the county and our county attorney, his firm has also notified us of that new process. One thing that the county's been, county level, they've been going back and forth on this in terms of what it actually means, and some of the requirements and stipulations in there are not very clear. One of the issues that I brought up is, what does active mean in a volunteer fire department? Are they actually responding to fires? That would be something that the town would have to coordinate with the fire district and the fire protection district on. What do you consider are active members so that, that exemption can be properly applied? That's something that we would have to do.
I did have a good discussion yesterday too with Bill Tansey, the assistant county attorney at Dan Manning's office, and we bounced, and I'm getting feedback, Jeff and I are both getting feedback from our municipal clients as to how to deal with this.
Right.
Supervisor said the statute left is wide open.
Yeah.
And we don't deal with it much. We don't have a length of service and work program, right, LoSAP? So there's this kind of insurance policy thing where municipalities can fund what's called a LoSAP, or a length of service and work program. Firefighters stay active for 20 years, and then when they retire, they get a benefit and things like that. But these LoSAP programs have specific points, like a scoring that you have to maintain to get these services. So I was talking to Bill about it. We're kind of toying with the idea of drafting something like that and including it in a local law to do this. So, what we're trying to do is because we don't deal in the field with, what, to Supervisor's comment, what does it mean to be enrolled, and active and things like that. So we're just kind of taking feedback from all of our clients and then coming up with ideas of how we're going to do this, or how we would suggest you do it, or, give you options. The difficulty is, since the legislature did this in December, and March 1st is tax status date, I don't realistically see how you're gonna get it.
Right.
Public hearing, first of all, the local law finally drafted, public hearing set and done, and adopted, and then time for people to apply before March 1st of tax status date. That's probably not the answer everybody wants to hear, because all the state elected officials are out telling everybody that they've adopted this and that your municipality should get it done so you get 10% off your taxes, or your assessed value. But I don't, some of the assessors, I haven't talked to Patty about it, but some of the other assessors I've talked to, they don't see that they can get it done this year. Just,
Yeah, it's gonna be challenging, yeah.
but we'll work on as fast as we can.
Yeah.
We have since it got adopted in December.
Okay. The only other topic we have to discuss tonight is EMS service, or district, no district, funding, no funding. Got the notes here. I do see you're here, so that's good. So we've had a discussion regarding EMS in the past. Basically, as I stated before, there's three options here. There's for EMS service, there's do nothing and just let 911 figure it out, and hopefully people get responded to in a timely manner. There's funded through budget appropriations through the town, or there's create a district and fund it that way through a tax levy. Regardless of appropriations versus district, regardless of what that is, the cost for EMS service for the residents of Ticonderoga is not going to change one, but it costs what it costs. And you're talking about $300,000 to $500,000. I think Warrensburg was $500,000, if I'm correct. That is just what it costs to have the service. It's just a matter now of how we go about funding something like that. Talking about a district, it does lock us into certain future requirements. So once you have a district, you're not getting out of a district, and the costs associated with that can be somewhat fixed and with no control, even though it could be the town board members who are the district board. One of the approaches that we've talked about is, do we provide a certain amount of funding on a quarterly basis or whatever through the year to an entity to provide that service and get financial feedback from the entity in terms of what their budget has been, what their expenditures are, what buildings they're going after, what buildings they're not going after, that kind of financial information. I think some of the board members probably have questions for how we can get information back from IEMS and Lamoille in terms of what that budget looks like. We will probably need to have a public hearing. I would like to schedule a public hearing at least for next month to get the public in to hear what it really costs. The problem is, for the last few budgets, Ticonderoga has funded $30,000 or $70,000, and I'm just concerned that people think that's what it costs because we never asked for more. And that's just not true. It's not what it costs. So it's important for the public to get educated and understand what those costs are. And is that something that the residents want to accept? As you all alternative is, you know, it's just 911 and you take your chances. So I'll let some of the other board members speak and talk about what some of the things that as a board we might be looking for before that public hearing in terms of how do we get financial information that shows, you know, for example, if this board was to give, let's say $50,000 to Thai EMS for the next 3 or 4 months, what costs do you guys have that shows that that is the right amount of money? We're spending taxpayer money, so we have to, for $50,000, for example, the expenditures that Thai EMS or anyone else would have should, you know, equal that $50,000 instead of just shoot from the hip. So that was one of the things that we were talking about. Jump in if you got some ideas that we were kind of looking for in terms of data.
I think the budget, as you said, is what the big thing. I think we're looking for a run rate, not for revenue, but if you didn't have any money coming in, what is your expenses for the next few months?
Yeah, like if you didn't even respond to one call, how much does it cost?
Keep the lights on. Right. Yeah. What do you do to keep your ambulances running? You know, keep the place heated, pay your mortgage, pay your bills. We need to kind of know what that run rate is, and we know it's not linear, that it probably goes up and down, right? But
Maybe
you
an average or
know,
something.
a month or a month-by-month budget.
I thought we did the month by month.
Haven't seen 2023 or 2023s that I recall.
Yeah, I sent it to Mark.
The monthly budget, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
We don't have a monthly budget for 2023.
Monthly budget isn't, I mean, we sent the
Monthly
budget for the whole year.
expenses, it shows, yeah, for 2023.
We don't know what they are for 2023.
What, we have a budget,
Sure, but we don't know what the expenses, I mean, these things are going up.
We don't know what January's is yet until the end of January.
Excuse me. If Pat Ider did up a budget for him, would you accept that? It's a simple question, yes or no?
well, a budget,
I mean,
I guess it depends on how thorough the budget is.
Is,
You can't.
is he a professional, Pat Ider? Yes or no in your opinion?
Please don't give me yes or no questions. That's just not going to fly with me.
Yeah, but,
Yes, he's a certified public accountant.
okay. So if he
And
makes
the
up the
answer-
budget,
the answer
would
to
you
your-
be satisfied with
The
that?
answer to your question would be yes. We have to see the budget to know if it's got the details that we want in it.
Okay,
I think that's fair. Would you agree?
all right, fine.
So Mark, are you looking for an anticipatory budget or an actual budget?
Well,
Because
one of the
right now,
thi-
it's impossible for me.
One of the things that we're looking for is what does it just cost to keep the lights on?
Okay, so that's nuts and bolts without
Yeah.
any.
And that way you
That's
don't
our regular
have, that way you don't have to
monthly
get into worry about what your revenue is going to be or
Right,
anything
because
like
nobody
that.
knows, right? I can't tell when someone's having a heart attack or when it's.
No, I thoroughly agree. If we have an idea of what it, I keep using the phrase, what it takes to keep the lights on, then you kind of know, at least basically, from a basic standpoint, you need this much money, probably every month or however it's calculated, just to operate, just to stay, you know, as an entity. Then you get into, you know, what your anticipated costs are for equipment, materials, and, you know, gasoline and payroll. Well, your payroll is actually part of your lights on, but, so that's what we were talking about. I believe the board will probably set up some sort of workshop. I think this is not something that we can do every month. We'll never get anywhere. We're going to need to set up some sort of a workshop with the board and, you know, EMS, regardless of who they're from. EMS, Thai EMS, well, I really don't care, but we need to have some sort of discussion in order to move this ball along. I don't know if that EMS, an EMS district is the way we're thinking now. I think we're thinking more about appropriation type funding. Like I said, the dollar amount doesn't change. It's just about how the dollars are provided, whether it's through appropriation or district. And if you guys have your own opinion on district, you know, feel free to share them now, but.
I think the restrictions to having a district at this point are, to me, don't make a lot of sense for the town of Ticonderoga at this point. I think we need to fund it, fund some form of EMS services, and who gets the funding and how it's funded is yet to be determined, but.
Say they don't care how they get it, as long as we help them. That's it.
As long as we have EMS services, I think I don't think it's fair to say that we've agreed to fund any single organization at this point. I think that's still up for discussion.
How is the county funded at this point, EMS?
The county,
How is it, they had a grant which had gone through, so how are they funded now?
yeah, I don't know how the county's funded.
But you're on the board. with the
I'm on a lot of
council.
things, it doesn't mean I know everything in detail, I'm not on the, not on the emergency committee, so, the EMS committee.
So for 2023, we talked about this already. So I assumed that that was going to be discussed tonight and a decision was going to be made, but that's not going to happen now, tonight.
I don't know that we're prepared to determine how much money we want to give for the next 3 months at this point.
So
I
the,
know you had provided like a number of $50,000 to $70,000 for the next 3 months, or something like that. As I said, for that amount of money, I'd just like to see a breakdown of what's going into that. So if a taxpayer says, did you just wing that, or is it based upon some actual, input? I think as spenders of the taxpayers' money, I think it's our obligation to know what makes up the number, whether it's 50 or 70 or whatever. I don't know if that's something you can throw together fairly quickly. Obviously, you had the idea for what that total was for the year, so if you're dividing it out, at least a capability. If we can get that, then we can actually probably take that into the workshop that we have and not have to wait for another whole month to talk about it.
and when is that workshop?
I haven't scheduled it yet, we're just bringing it up right now.
So my public hearing is like open to the public, it's open to anyone in the public.
Yeah, and
So
I
it's
think
open
it's,
to anyone in the state.
I'm sorry?
It's open to anyone in the state who would like to come and give opinions on.
Yeah, anybody can come to a public hearing.
Gotcha.
I really think it's important for the public hearing to start to educate
Right.
the residents on this.
Absolutely.
I know you've had some positive feedback from what you said from people, but that feedback is, yeah, we want EMS services, but do they want them at the cost of, $500,000? I mean, they don't really have a choice, that is the cost, like I said, the cost is the cost, but people start, changing their story a little bit when you tell them how much it's gonna cost, so it really is incumbent upon everybody here, EMS, the town, to educate the people in terms of, here's the implication if the town doesn't fund this through an appropriation or a district, this is what you're looking at. When you dial 911, you might not get a fast response if they're coming from Screw Lake or.
Be unprecedented. It'd be unprecedented in the country.
That's why you have fly cars
Yeah.
for EMS for the county.
It's
They come down.
unprecedented in the state for a town volunteer organization to not, and we discussed that. It's
And that's gonna have to be
unprecedented for a town municipality to not assist or fund their
Correct.
town's volunteer
And
organization.
there's a certain moral obligation there as well. I mean, you do what you can, but eventually, the public should have some sort of input into this process as to whether
Same should be
they're
said with
willing
fire.
to that, so that they have some sort of ownership.
Right. But without with a fire district, we're told
Yes,
this is coming. Right.
and that's one of our concerns with the EMS district is once that's in place, it's in place, and there is no control over the budget.
Oh, there's much more control for the town.
For what, a district?
Yes,
Well, not really.
it's different, it's a different, right?
Not really. The budget would be what the budget is. Even though that board may be town board members, the internal runnings of whoever's the town contracts for that district it is what they determine it is to cost operate. That's what we've been thinking. I we're in favor of funding to keep EMS services going to some level to whatever entity, but the district, I think, we're not really comfortable with because of some of the limitations that we just discussed. Anything on that? Get off the corner.
His face.
So if we can set up a workshop, we can probably develop what that number is for funding somebody.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think whatever we would do funding-wise, we might do it on like a quarterly basis. You know, fund the first quarter, kind of get some feedback budget-wise from the EMS service as to, you know, what it's costing. Maybe it'll cost, maybe the next quarter will be 60,000, maybe the next quarter will be 30,000. I don't know. It depends on, you know, how the expenditures would roll as you go along. And that would give us a little more data from an annual standpoint as to, you know, if we're gonna do this appropriation for the next budget cycle, what that total amount may end up looking like, plus or minus a fudge factor, a certain percentage to cover uncertainty.
So certificate of need would go into that decision making.
Yeah. Comments from you guys on this? I know you were hoping for the district. Certainly the district is the easiest thing to do in terms of less pressure off you. You know, it's set up and the levy goes forward and, you know, you get your money. But like I said, we had some reservations. After we heard your attorney, we listened to some information from ours, and yeah, we're just uncomfortable with the district format. Maybe in the future that's something that the town would have to do, I don't know. This is a pretty severe crisis countywide, statewide. I wish that the county was able to provide all these services for all the individual townships, but doesn't look like right now that's a possibility. Tom?
No, nothing very.
So what I'll do is I'll ping the board members here for a workshop, and then I'll let everyone else know what that, the workshop would also be public.
Involves what?
The workshop would also allow public observation.
So is this for Thai EMS or is this for Lamoille and Thai EMS?
It would be for anyone who wants to input into the process. Response, feedback? Response, feedback from you guys?
I
Questions?
really don't know what to say right now, sorry. I thought the article in the papers was the first start of letting the public know what was going on. And then having, you know, public meetings at our station about the EMS district. And I thought 2023 was gonna be talked about tonight, you know, for funding wise.
Well, I mean, preliminary wise, we just haven't determined what that number is gonna be. That we're gonna throw out there on a quarterly basis, we just don't know what that number is yet. I know the number that you gave us, but I have nothing right now behind that shows that that's the right number. I would like to see that. I will go back and look and see if I can try to find the budget you said. I think you did that in December or something like that.
Yeah, we started back in November.
I don't remember if I shared that with everybody or not. I may have, I may not have, but I have to look at the email. Did you say you had a question?
So when you say you want a workshop, usually the public do not talk during the workshop, only specific people that you ask to come to your workshops.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to clarify this meeting as a workshop?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I'll probably have better words when we get to the
Okay.
finance meeting as to when we want to set that up, date-wise and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want them to turn things over to me, for me to compile them and
Yeah, you
give them
can.
to you?
That's probably a good idea. You should
So-
receive it.
Just so I know what you're wanting from them, do you want exacts, like from 2022, they can have National Grid print out what their electric bill was for the entire year per month? Or do you want them to do this projected?
Yeah, I don't want their individual bills, I think.
Well, no, but they'll, National Grid's not gonna give you their individual bill, but they can request a statement of, you know,
Even if they have some sort of estimate on what their operating
We have
costs
it
are.
in Excel with all of our monthly bills on it.
Okay.
So if you take your,
It sounds like what maybe we'll submit to you.
okay. I just wanna make sure everybody's clear.
So Mark, your workshop is a private workshop with invades on.
Well, workshops are open to the public, but
They
workshops
need to
don't
be on the
usually,
speakers.
right, usually we can't just have discussions like this.
Exactly.
In a
They need to
workshop.
be on the speakers list.
Yeah, there'll be people that would be invited to speak.
Right, that's the question.
Kind of like a public comment period in a town board meeting, similar to that.
Okay. You guys are all clear on what to, okay.
We can coordinate in the process if needed. Anything else? Anything else?
I have nothing.
You didn't have anything? Matt, did you have anything?
I just
Check through. Well, we can go to a public comment period here. I would just request that if anyone would care to comment or speak, come to the table so she can record it, use it on the microphone. Keep it fairly brief, and we'll open that up now, if anybody wants to. Yeah,
Let's speak. Hi, I'm Bruce. I live at 7 Quarter Road. I'm one of the houses that is affected by the gooseneck closure.
Okay.
I participated in a lot of the meetings with the previous administration, and when I saw my water bill this quarter, I saw that we were levied a 19% increase. And the previous administration said that they were going to hold us at $96 at a public meeting up at the Best Western. And lo and behold, we got a 19% increase on a system that we're told that we can't drink and we're going to close. And I'd just like to know the town board's position on this and why we were levied that 19%. I find it insulting.
Okay, well, I'm sorry for that. Currently, the revenue does not equal the expenditure for that system. And so, even with the increase, it doesn't cover that, it still doesn't balance out. You know, the town can't continue to, and we did use some fund balance to help offset that, but the town can't continue to operate at a deficit for a system that costs money, so. Yeah, I understand the system's gonna be shut down, but it's not right now. When it is shut down, then obviously that cost goes away, which is not gonna charge you for.
My question is, where is the deficit? Is it in the districts or the so-called contract?
It's the contract user portion. You're not in a district, so.
I
you're not-
understand.
Your charges aren't helping pay for some other district's costs, if that's what your question is.
Is there any way I can ask for a FOIL, and I'm just asking this question, you know, where it shows, or maybe I should just go to the committee meeting on the 31st and ask these questions. And, excuse me, you didn't say the time for that, on the 1st or 31st meeting for the public works?
Yeah.
It's normally at 10:30, I think, right?
In the morning?
Okay, so.
It's down here?
Yep.
Yeah, and all the meetings are,
January 31st at 10:30 first.
Okay, thank you.
and all the meetings are always on the webpage too. You can certainly, you're certainly more than welcome to come, and we can dive into that.
Oh, I was glad to see that Stefanik actually came through for maybe the town too. Thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
yeah, absolutely. Any questions, you're always welcome to come and ask. Anybody else have anything?
Richard Sonish. My question is, which is before your time, what is the story about the bicentennial park? Why can't you dig in there?
We're not supposed to go.
What the town has been told over the many years is IP had some sort of, part of the agreement, the town accepted that land was that they not go digging there.
It is
Okay.
actually in
In the
the
deed.
covenants of the deed, that you are not to dig in any
Okay,
part.
and is that also the Little League Park?
Yes.
Yes.
And did they give you a reason why you can't dig down there?
You'd have to ask them.
So you have no idea what's buried there?
Built
So the
in.
kid's been playing there all these years, you have no idea what's...
You'd have to ask them.
Bicentennial Park has a lot of building foundations.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that, but there's got to be a reason why besides the foundations. In my opinion, let's put it that way. Okay, the airport, I asked this back in the late 80s and the 90s. How come we're not using that for something more than what we're using it for? In other words, there's no reason why we can't piggyback on the Balloon Festival or Americade or something like that to use that, especially the Balloon Festival. Why can't we piggyback on that the week before, the week after, and start with some balloons there?
Are you volunteering to run that effort? Somebody's got to run it, somebody's got to pay for it. You willing to do that?
Pay for it? Well, pay for it should pay for itself.
Are you willing to set that up and so that it pays for itself?
Well, I can contact
If
them.
you have a proposal, you're more than willing to bring it before the board and we can
Okay,
decide
I
whether
can
it's
ask
a
them.
community event.
I can ask them, okay? And what restrictions are on that airport as far as being used? Is that strictly our airport? Is that the Air Force's airport?
It would be FAA restrictions and.
Okay, but beyond that, that you own the property and you have full use of that airport,
The town owns the property.
right? You have full use, anybody that comes here for a permit or whatever can use that airport
For what?
for,
No,
Balloon
no,
festival.
no, you can't have a dirt track race on an airport if that's what you're thinking about.
okay,
There are certain restrictions of an airport of how it's used.
okay,
Balloon Festival probably could, if it gets clearance from the FAA.
okay. The portage, is that done? Paving and so on and so forth?
Yes.
And why is, okay, no, I don't know. Now I see this, the spectrum thing. I thought we were in charge, the town was, of deciding who would be the carrier for the town.
There's a franchise agreement with Spectrum. They are the
Okay,
provider.
so you made a deal with Spectrum.
The town granted a franchise to Spectrum.
Okay, that's why it's the way it is. Okay, that's it.
Anyone else? Okay, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned
All right.
1925.
Kelly.